May 12, 1945. Fort Missoula, Montana. The transport truck lurches to a stop, and Greta Hoffman feels her jaw throb with each heartbeat, a familiar agony that has become her constant companion for a year and a half. Through the canvas opening, she glimpses towering pine trees and mountains so vast they seem unreal, like painted theater backdrops. The air smells different here, clean and sharp, nothing like the acrid smoke and chemical stench of the aircraft factory, where she spent 72 hours each week inspecting fuselage rivets for the Luftwaffe. Her hands, calloused and stained with metal dust, grip the wooden bench as an American soldier calls out in broken German for everyone to disembark. 23 women shuffle toward the exit, their faces hollow, their eyes reflecting the same dread Greta feels coiling in her stomach. They have heard the stories, the whispered rumors in the holding cells in New York. American camps are brutal. Starvation rations, forced labor in frozen fields, beatings for the slightest infraction. Greta touches her swollen jaw gently, feeling the heat radiating from the infection beneath her skin. The pain has been so constant that she barely remembers what it feels like to exist without it. She had begged the factory physician for help 7 times. 7 times he had looked at her with contempt, his thin lips curling as he told her that German women do not whine about discomfort, that her duty was to the Reich, that pain builds character. The last time, he had threatened to report her for defeatism. So she learned to work through the white-hot agony, to swallow the metallic taste of infection, to hide her tears during the night shifts when the throbbing became so intense she thought her skull might split open. Now, as a prisoner of war, she expects nothing but worse. The women are herded into a low wooden building marked with a red cross. The smell inside is estringingly clean, like carbolic soap and something medicinal Greta cannot identify. It makes her dizzy after months of breathing machine oil and unwashed bodies. An American nurse, blonde hair pinned neatly beneath a white cap, gestures for them to form a line. Her expression is neutral, professional, revealing nothing of what awaits them. Greta's heart hammers against her ribs. The woman ahead of her, Ilse, a radar operator from Hamburg, whispers that they are probably checking for diseases before putting them to work in the mines. Greta says nothing. Speaking makes her jaw scream. When her turn comes, the nurse leads her to a small examination room where a man in a white coat sits reviewing papers. He looks up, and Greta is startled by his youth. He cannot be older than 35, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses and graying temples. He introduces himself as Captain Morrison, the camp dentist, but Greta barely processes the words. She is too busy preparing herself for whatever humiliation or cruelty comes next. He asks her to sit in the dental chair, and her legs nearly give out as she complies. The chair is padded, comfortable even, and tilts back smoothly when he adjusts it. Through the window, she can see the Montana sky, impossibly blue and vast. Captain Morrison begins a routine examination, asking her to open her mouth. The moment she does, she sees his expression change. His eyebrows draw together and he leans closer, angling a small mirror to see better. She tastes blood, always blood now, mixed with the putrid sweetness of infection. He makes a soft sound, something between surprise and concern. In careful German, he asks how long she has had this abscess. Greta wants to lie to minimize, but the truth spills out in a hoarse whisper. 18 months. His face pales. He sets down his instruments with deliberate care and looks directly into her eyes. What he says next makes no sense to her. He tells her he is going to treat this immediately, that he will use proper anesthetic, that she will feel no pain during the procedure. Greta stares at him, certain she has misunderstood. Anesthetic. The word feels foreign, impossible. She has not been offered pain relief for anything in years, not even when she sliced her hand open on sheet metal and required 12 stitches. The factory physician had sewn her up while she bit down on a leather strap, telling her it would make her stronger. Captain Morrison is already preparing a syringe, his movements efficient and practiced. He explains each step in his halting German, telling her she will feel a small pinch, that the numbness will spread quickly, that she must let him know if she experiences any discomfort. Discomfort. Such a gentle word for the inferno that has consumed half her face for so long. The injection comes, a brief sting, and then something miraculous happens. The pain begins to recede. Not all at once, but in a gradual wave that feels like cool water on burning skin. Greta's eyes fill with tears. She cannot stop them. They spill down her cheeks as Captain Morrison waits patiently for the anesthetic to take full effect, occasionally asking if she can still feel sensation in specific areas. She shakes her head, mute with disbelief. When he begins the actual procedure, she feels pressure but no pain, no searing agony, no white-hot stabbing that makes her want to claw her own face. Just pressure, manageable and distant. He works carefully, draining the abscess, cleaning the infected tissue, speaking in low, soothing tones about what he is doing. The smell is horrific, decay and rot, but Greta barely notices because, for the first time in 18 months, the constant throbbing is gone. The procedure takes 40 minutes. When it is finished, Captain Morrison carefully packs the wound with gauze soaked in something that smells like cloves. He prescribes antibiotics, explaining the dosage schedule with the same careful attention he might give a paying patient. Then he does something that breaks her completely. He tells her she must rest, not for a day, but until the infection fully clears. He is scheduling follow-up appointments, 3 of them over the next 2 weeks. He will monitor her healing personally. He hands her a list of soft foods she should eat, things that will not irritate the wound. Apple sauce, mashed potatoes, custard, soup. He has already arranged for the kitchen staff to prepare these items for her. Greta sits in the dental chair, numb in more ways than one, and something inside her fractures. The tears come harder now, racking sobs that shake her thin shoulders. Captain Morrison looks alarmed, asking if she is in pain, if something is wrong. But how can she explain? How can she tell him that his basic human decency, his simple act of treating her like a person worthy of care, has shattered every lie she has been told for 6 years? She had believed in the Reich. She had believed in duty and sacrifice and the nobility of suffering for the fatherland. She had accepted the pain, the dismissals, the contempt, because she thought it meant something. She thought her suffering was building something greater. But here, in an enemy camp, a man she has been taught to hate has shown her more compassion in 1 hour than her own military showed her in 18 months of agony. The realization is devastating. It unmoors her from everything she thought she knew. Captain Morrison hands her a clean handkerchief and waits. He does not rush her or tell her to control herself. He simply waits, patient and kind, until her sobs subside into hiccuping breaths. When she can finally speak, her voice is raw. She asks him why. Why is he helping her? Why does he care? He looks puzzled by the question, as if the answer is obvious. Because she is in pain, he says. Because she is a human being who needs medical care. Because it is his job, his duty to heal. Duty. The word sounds so different in his mouth than it did in the mouths of her superiors. His duty is to heal. Theirs was to extract every ounce of productivity, regardless of cost. She thinks of the factory physician, of his cold eyes and colder words. She thinks of the shift supervisors who threatened her with reports of malingering when she could barely stand from the pain. She thinks of the propaganda posters showing strong, smiling German women gladly sacrificing for victory. All of it was a lie. The next 2 weeks pass in a strange dream. Greta is assigned to a barracks with the other women, but unlike the cramped, freezing quarters she expected, the building is heated and clean. Each woman has her own narrow bed with actual sheets and a wool blanket. There are windows with glass, not just boards. The bathroom has running water, hot water even, and soap that smells like lavender. The food is plain but abundant: bread with butter, vegetable stew, fresh milk. For Greta, the kitchen prepares soft foods as Captain Morrison ordered. The first time she eats applesauce without pain, she cries again. The other women watch her with a mixture of confusion and growing unease. They are all grappling with the same cognitive dissonance. This is not what they were told to expect. This is not how enemies are supposed to behave. Ilse, the radar operator, whispers one night that maybe the Americans are trying to trick them, to make them weak and compliant. But Greta knows better. There is no trick in proper medical care. There is no manipulation in treating an infection. The Americans are simply doing what any civilized people should do. It is the Germans who failed. At her first follow-up appointment, Captain Morrison examines the wound and nods with satisfaction. The infection is responding well to the antibiotics. The swelling has decreased significantly. He asks about her pain level, and she tells him truthfully that it is minimal now, just a dull ache instead of the constant torture. He smiles, pleased, and schedules her next appointment. She asks him hesitantly about the other women. Are they receiving care too? He seems surprised by the question. Of course, he says. Several have needed dental work. One had a badly set broken wrist that required re-breaking and proper casting. Another had untreated pneumonia. All are being treated. All are recovering. Greta leaves the clinic and walks slowly back to her barracks. The Montana sun is warm on her face, and the air smells like pine and wildflowers. In the distance, she can hear someone playing a harmonica, a sad, slow melody that makes her chest ache. She thinks about the factory, about the women she left behind who are still working 12-hour shifts with untreated injuries and illnesses. She thinks about the propaganda that told them suffering was noble, that complaining was weakness, that their pain meant nothing compared to the glory of the Reich. She thinks about Captain Morrison's kind eyes and careful hands, about the way he treated her infected jaw as if it mattered, as if she mattered. The truth settles over her like a heavy blanket. She has been a prisoner long before she was captured. She was a prisoner of a system that valued her only for her productivity, that saw her pain as irrelevant, that would have let her die of an infected jaw rather than spare the resources to heal her. Now, in actual captivity, she is being treated with more dignity and care than she ever received as a free citizen of the Third Reich. The irony is crushing. By her second follow-up, the infection is nearly gone. Captain Morrison removes the packing and examines the healing tissue with evident satisfaction. He tells her she can return to regular foods now, though she should still avoid anything too hard or chewy for another week. He asks if she has any questions. She has 1,000 questions, but only one comes out. She asks him if he hates her, if he hates all of them, the German prisoners. He pauses, considering his answer carefully. He tells her he hates the war. He hates what it has done to people, all people on every side. But he does not hate her. She is not the war. She is a person who needed help, and he is a doctor. It is that simple. But it is not simple at all. Nothing about this is simple. Greta returns to her barracks and lies on her bed, staring at the wooden ceiling. Around her, other women are adjusting to their new reality. Some are writing letters home, permitted to send one per month. Some are learning English from a teacher who visits twice a week. Some are working in the camp gardens, growing vegetables, and receiving small wages for their labor. Wages. For voluntary work in a prison camp. The contradictions are everywhere. They are prisoners, but they are paid. They are captives, but they are educated. They are enemies, but they are healed. Greta touches her jaw, feeling the smooth skin where the swelling used to be. The pain is gone. After 18 months of agony, after 18 months of being told her suffering did not matter, an enemy doctor cared enough to make it stop. That night she dreams of the factory. In her dream, she is back at her inspection station, examining rivet lines on a fuselage panel. But her jaw is throbbing again, the pain so intense she can barely see. She tries to call for help, but no one comes. The factory physician walks past her station, his eyes sliding over her as if she is invisible. She reaches out, trying to get his attention, but her hand passes through him like smoke. She wakes in the dark barracks, her heart pounding, and realizes she is crying again. But these tears are different. They are not tears of pain or despair. They are tears of rage, rage at the system that broke her. Rage at the lies she believed, rage at herself for accepting it all for so long. The months pass slowly. Summer turns to autumn, and the Montana mountains blaze with gold and red. Greta attends English classes and learns to speak in halting sentences. She works in the camp library, organizing books and helping other prisoners find reading material. She writes letters to her sister in Munich, carefully worded to pass the censors, trying to convey truths she barely understands herself. In October, Captain Morrison gives her a final dental examination and declares her fully healed. He seems genuinely happy for her, proud even, as if her recovery is a personal victory. He tells her to take care of herself, to seek medical attention if she ever needs it again. The casual assumption that she will have access to medical care, that she is entitled to it, still feels strange. By December, the war in Europe has been over for 7 months, but the prisoners remain in Montana. Repatriation is slow, complicated by the chaos in Germany. Greta is not sure she wants to go back. What is there to return to? A country in ruins, a system that failed her, a factory that saw her as nothing more than a pair of hands. She thinks often about Captain Morrison, about his simple statement that she is a human being who deserves care. It seems like such an obvious truth, but it is a truth she had forgotten, or perhaps never fully learned. The Reich taught her that she was valuable only in service to something greater. The Americans taught her that she was valuable simply because she existed. One cold January morning, Greta stands outside the barracks and watches the sun rise over the mountains. Her jaw no longer hurts. She has gained weight, her cheeks filling out from regular meals. She has learned English well enough to read simple books. She has made friends among the other prisoners, women who are all grappling with the same shattered certainties. She thinks about the person she was when she arrived, broken and terrified, expecting cruelty and finding kindness instead. She thinks about the lies she believed and the truths she has learned. She thinks about what it means to be valued, to be seen, to be treated with basic human dignity. The sun climbs higher, painting the snow-covered peaks in shades of pink and gold. Greta takes a deep breath of the cold, clean air and feels something she has not felt in years. Hope. Not hope for Germany or for the Reich or for any grand ideology. Just hope for herself, for the possibility of a life where her pain matters, where her humanity is recognized, where she is more than just a tool to be used and discarded. She does not know what the future holds. She does not know when or if she will return to Germany, or what she will find there if she does. But she knows one thing with absolute certainty. She will never again accept being treated as less than human. She will never again believe that her suffering is noble or necessary. She will never again be silent when she needs help. An enemy dentist in a prison camp taught her that. He taught her that basic decency is not weakness, that caring for others is not a luxury, that every person, regardless of who they are or where they come from, deserves to be treated with compassion. It is a lesson she will carry with her for the rest of her life. As winter deepens and the Montana snow piles high against the barracks walls, Greta Hoffman, former aircraft inspector for the Luftwaffe, current prisoner of war, begins the slow, painful process of rebuilding herself. Not as a servant of the Reich, not as a cog in a machine, but as a human being with value and dignity. It starts with a healed jaw and a kind doctor, but it will not end there. It cannot end there. Because once you have seen the truth, once you have felt what it means to be treated with genuine care, you cannot go back to accepting less. You cannot unknow what you have learned. And Greta has learned the most devastating lesson of all. That the enemy showed her more humanity than her own side ever did. That the prison camp treated her better than her own country. That the people she was taught to hate were the ones who saved her. The realization will haunt her, challenge her, and ultimately transform her. But that transformation begins here, in a dental clinic in Montana, with a simple act of compassion that shattered everything she thought she knew about the world.